I squatted 1,006 unofficial and 985 officially at the World Championships. I benched 605 unofficial and benched 591 in competition.
Mark, first of all, man, thank you for doing this. And just tell us about big event coming up, obviously, St. Louis, Chaifetz Arena on Friday, AEW Wrestling. What can people expect? And for folks that don't know a lot about AEW, tell them about it, please.
Even though AEW is a new company, we have been the #1 show on cable for the last 6 weeks. And that being said, the excitement in the crowd is the thing that people say they notice first. Nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's telling you to sit down. Like, we just want people to have a great time. And that is coming through in groves.
And I was watching a podcast interview with you where you're saying basically one of the things you love about AEW is that you're immersed in every aspect, business-wise, an agent, really kind of all things wrestling. Is that always something you wanted to do in your career, basically not just be a wrestler, but kind of be involved in all of it?
Most definitely. Experience has taught me one thing, and that's that I don't know everything. But what it has done is it's put me in a place where if it's got anything to do with pro wrestling, from travel to booking to teaching psychology, teaching training, explaining not only how you do things, but when you do it and why you do it, is something that is a level of awareness that every wrestler needs. And it can be taught, but you need experience. And in order to get that experience, I'm sharing mine. So that way they don't have to try to recreate the wheel.
And you've had so many great experiences in wrestling over the last, 20 plus years, however long it's been. Give us what's your greatest memory in the wrestling business?
Oh my gosh. I've had so many, it's hard to pick out one. Becoming a world champion, wrestling in bullfighting arenas and coliseums in Rome and Spain. Just how I felt after my kids were born. As it relates to going on the road, there were times where I didn't want to go, and when I got there, it was like I was always trying to bring something back so they could see where I've been. So I've had a lot of great experiences.
Give us your kind of wrestling origin story in terms of going from the powerlifting world into pro wrestling. How were you discovered? Were you always a huge fan? How did it start?
Well, I was a super fan. I mentioned on Oprah's show when I did Oprah that don't bother me on Saturdays and Mondays. Those are the days that I watch wrestling. And the company reached out to me and said, "Hey, you like wrestling? You should come and check us out." And so I did, and the whole wrestling world was opened up to me in just a short amount of time, and I knew that's what I was going to do.
And so I was just interviewing Paul White as well, and so you never know what's true on Wikipedia, but the story about you is that was Andre the Giant your favorite? You're in the crowd, you tried to reach out and touch him, you fell, he picked you up. Is that true? Was he your guy, Andre the Giant, growing up?
100%. Still, I was able to go to Ellerby and went to Andre's ranch and met his friends, and that was one of the more emotional things that ever happened to me. I didn't know Andre. He was not a member of my family, but when he passed, it felt like he was. And to be able to go and meet his friends and family, and one of his really good friends gave me one of his business cards and gave me a card of Andre that he had in one of the drawers when they cleaned his house out. And also gave me a lapel pin that belonged to him. So, I mean, it's like, man, I was like, y'all too much. You're gonna make me cry again.
And I think a lot of people watching, whether it's on YouTube, Fox 2 TV locally, and the radio station 590 The Fan here in St. Louis, they're sports fans. They also like to work out. There's probably some people that think they're pretty strong. So let's put them to shame here. Can you tell us just your all-time lifts, whether it's squat, bench, deadlift? I mean, your absolute prime. What are you pushing in these lifts?
I squatted 1,006 unofficial and 985 officially in at the World Championships. I benched 605 unofficial and benched 591 in competition. I deadlifted 903 and in the World Championships and did a 924 unofficial, and was the only person to win a world championship in powerlifting and snatch 400 pounds and clean and jerk 500 pounds. So, you know, history says that with all my numbers combined, I'm without peer, that I'm the best, but I'll let everybody else be the one to say who's the best.
So back in the
we
day,
already know who's the best.
There we go. Back in the day, I was actually working at a gym, and Bill Kazmaier came in and did kind of a little demonstration where he bent a frying pan. And again, we're talking with Paul White. I said, give me some dirt. Give me some dirt on Mark Henry. And he said one time he saw you in the locker room. He thought you were really sad about something, that something had happened. And he said, "What's going on, Mark?" And he said that you were disappointed because you couldn't tear a quarter in half. He said you were trying to bend a quarter. So give us your biggest feat of strength that's not just lifting weights, like anything crazy, pushing a car. I saw, is there pictures of you pushing a tank?
Yeah, I mean, I think the semis, pulling the two semis side by side was pretty rough. That was hard to do. The most historic thing that I did was there was a guy in the turn of the century named Thomas Inch. And he used to travel to circuses, and he used to charge people a nickel to take a chance at lifting his dumbbell. And it was called the unliftable dumbbell. During that time, he traveled, I think he made somewhere around $100,000 in nickels, letting people try to lift that dumbbell. In 2002, I tried to lift it for the first time, and I was able to lift it to my hip. And I said that the next year that I would lift it over my head, and I did. And I'm the only person to ever lift it from the floor to overhead without using two hands.
I'm sure you've wrestled in St. Louis a lot over the years. Anything stick out?
Yes.
Yes. Any special memories over the years, or maybe a funny story that happened when you're around St. Louis, if you're, looking at the arch or eating at a restaurant? Anything kind of come to mind?
It's funny you say eating like that. Eating is my forte. Is what I'm really good at. And I was introduced to a gentleman that worked at Sweetie Pies. And he said, "Man, you should come by." And I said, "Man, give me a number, man. If I can get free, I'll come by." So I called him and told him that I was coming by. And it was like a parade. Like, I showed up and they just welcomed me. And, I went in, had a great meal. And ever since then, every time I come to St. Louis, either I went by and got food, or I would send somebody by and get food.
And speaking of kind of, eating, and also in the wrestling world, you always have these famous stories, like your idol, Andre the Giant. People would always tell stories about how many beers that he could drink in one sitting. Anything funny like that come to mind, whether it's from you or another wrestling superstar over the years? Maybe you're at a show afterwards, you're out hanging out, eating, and it's just like somebody ate or drank an amount that was just ridiculous.
You know what? I like hearing the legend of stories about me that it really didn't happen. I'm one of those people that eat all day long. I can't eat a lot at one time. I heard that I went to a pizza place and they have this enormous pizza that's for 4 people that I ate it. And that never happened. I went to Philadelphia and to a famous cheesesteak place. And you name one, that the rest of them get mad at
Yeah.
you. And they have a 4-foot cheesesteak. And somebody said I think it was in the newspaper that I went to this place and ate the 4-foot piece cheesesteak. So I just like hearing the legends. Like I never was able to do all that.
Okay, so speaking of legendary stories, this is where I think, I mean, there's so many great stories, I'm sure, over the years. What about on the road traveling? You know, Paul White again was saying you're his best friend, one of his best friends in the business. Any kind of great stories over the years, just of hanging out with the guys and just kind of the memories maybe you laugh about when you see these guys?
One of the guys that I work with currently now, we rode together and missed the exit. So we decided, you know what, rather than back up, we're going to just go up the hill and get back on the freeway. Well, that didn't quite work out. We got stuck and we ended up having to get out. There's like 3 inches of mud and we're trudging along looking for things to put under the tires to help us get some traction. We took old shirts out of dirty laundry and put under the tires, all kind of stuff. And, you know, of course, with me pushing, you think, okay, we're going to get out of this. Well, unfortunately, we still wasn't able to get out and we were all covered in mud. And then I said, man, let me try. Y'all push. I'm angry now. I'm like, and that's not a good thing. I was like, y'all push and I'll drive. And I looked and the car was on 2-wheel drive rather than 4-wheel drive. So now I push the button and the car kind of gears. And then I just start trudging up the hill like no problem. And we ended up on the top and I looked down at them and I'm like, come on, you know, like it was a hard drive the rest of where we were going because this gentleman who should remain nameless didn't put the 4-wheel drive on.
And you're not going to name his name for us?
I can't do it.
All right, Mark, final question for you. Just tell us what it's been like getting back in front of the fans. I know this show specifically at Chaifetz Arena in St. Louis was rescheduled from COVID. So what was it like the last year or so, whatever you're having to do in terms of kind of change everything up and then now getting back to normal, getting in front of the fans? And I'm sure the fans are just crazy to see everybody again.
Man, it's to be able to see the fans again is so unbelievable. Just the experiences that we've had with our AEW community, where everywhere we go, we try to get into the community and do something that's going to affect people positively. And Cody Rhodes is the head of our community. I've come in and tried my best to will our company into being able to do community work and to have an effect on the communities. But the biggest thing is seeing the faces of the fans while our guys and girls are wrestling, because they feel like, wow, man, I'm a wrestling fan and I get the best wrestling in the world. And you can see it on their face that they're enjoying themselves. And I just can't ask for more. I mean, I really appreciate the fact that the guys listen and the girls listen, but more than anything, they want to be great. And if you want to be great, it's hard to stop that dream.
Mark, that's awesome. Really appreciate this, man. Thanks a lot. I know people in St. Louis are looking forward to seeing all you guys on Friday.
We're looking forward to seeing everybody too.